it would make a great movie, I think, if you had someone who just was having a hard day. So, let's just sit down and watch The Penguin. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and everyone else, penguins included. Today's movie watch is going to be something entitled the Penguin Lessons.
And the reason, well, there are a few reasons why I decided to go for this movie next, is because the previous movie was about the friendship between a human being and an animal, a dog.
And it started this whole discussion about the merits of relationships and the extent to which humans can connect with animals.
And I had this movie, The Penguin Lessons, on my list for some time now. It's a 2024 movie. And after we watched The Friend, I remembered it and I said, okay, we need to watch this movie simply because we are in the pets mood right now. So
well, is it pets? I don't know. It's a penguin. Is it going to be a pet or something else? But anyway, it has to do with animals.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe
the idea of a pet came to me when I saw the movie poster.
Ah, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So let's watch the movie. So did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
That was utterly beautiful, sweet. Can I say adorable?
Well,
charming, cute, special. Those are the words that come to mind.
Yes. Let us start with the last thing first. And just like in The Last Breath, we were surprised when we learned that this was a true story. And it was at the end of the movie.
So watching along, I was thinking, this is a cute story. It's really nicely written. It's a sweet idea. It feels like it could be real, but I didn't imagine that it actually was a true story. And then we get all the way to the end of the movie, and just now I see these text come up on the screen saying that Mitchell lived for however many years after,
and then the real footage,
and that one day he came across a box with a little home video cam recorder tape in it, and it had this little footage from the day that the penguin went swimming in the pool, and that's what sparked all these memories to come flooding back, and he wrote a book called The Penguin Lessons. And this movie is based on the book. So that was just icing on the cake. It was great.
It was. And the whole movie has I want to say a very a touch of a British humor inserted here and there, a little bit.
I loved the humorous aspect of this movie. Now, this is not a movie that I would think of. The first thing that would come to mind would be humor. It's not comedy. It's not meant to be funny. But there is this very subtle, in a way, shall I say, intellectual or refined undercurrent of humor throughout, especially Mitchell.
Yes.
The way that he's portrayed on the screen is, there were so many great moments. I didn't write them all down because
great moments and great lines.
I was absorbed in the movie, and there were too many great lines to interrupt every single one. But just for example,
P.S. Why do you all have moustaches? What do you think?
As if that is an important question. Why do you all wear mustaches? And then
it's a rather artistic observation, you know.
Yeah,
Like
and then 15 minutes later, when he's released from his night in prison.
Yes, and he's met by
He's
his
met by his
Finnish
colleague,
friend and
the
colleague,
Finnish friend and
professor.
colleague,
Yeah,
who says,
he is commenting
"Are
on
you
his
all
face.
right? You
Yeah,
look terrible," and and it was so good. And Mitchell says,
What did I do to you?
You should see the other guy.
"You should have seen the other guy." But without laughing. I can't say it without laughing, but he says it without laughing. And his colleague says, "Oh, what, did you beat him up?" And the guy says, "No, he looks just fine, but that's just something people say, right? Yeah. That's what you say. When you get beat up, you say, you should have seen the other guy." That sort of kind of, I don't know if I'd call it subtle, but very polite humor. But it's still fresh and lively.
I guess I would say it's the humor that you expect coming from a professor.
This guy plays his role incredibly well.
Brilliant.
Incredibly
He's
well.
brilliant.
I don't know. Have I ever seen him acting in a movie before?
I doubt it.
I don't recognize, but it was great. And if you run across any other movies that he's done, it might be nice to see, just because I think he did a beautiful job of it.
He did.
So yeah, that type of humor. You should have seen the other guy.
Did you fight him?
No, it's just a thing people say. No, he's fine. I mean, I think he hurt his fist when he was punching me, which I was pleased about.
What, did you beat him up? No, it's just what you're supposed to say. It's just what people say when they get beat up. You should have seen the other guy.
And it's the humor touch that you need in a bad situation.
Yes, but I'm not sure that I would actually call it gallows humor. It's not that kind of dark or necessarily really poking fun at the worst part of it. You know, what I think of when I think of gallows humor. It's different, but I liked it. So that was a highlight for me in this movie. Also, the overall story. It's cute, it's sweet, it's charming.
Now, we didn't look into Wikipedia to see how much of the movie's moments were really from the real.
We haven't looked that up yet. I suppose
it will be. Definitely. But just the thought that this sort of relationship was real, was possible, between the bird and the professor. And all the events and the way the experience shaped him to the point where it resurrected in him the courage.
It was a very healing experience for him, I think. And well, it was a positive experience for everyone in the school in the end. I mean, it changed his classroom. It changed his relationship with the boys. It even changed the headmaster.
Definitely.
And,
yes.
Everyone played their roles very well. But I don't know. After our discussion with the friend, now looking at this, well, you all have to know that Vlad is European and he doesn't love the idea of animals in the house or that sort of dynamic, which is fine. Nothing against that. But he is always a bit
I can
surprised.
have some animals in the house. Fish.
Okay.
Fish are okay.
Okay. He's always a bit surprised and sometimes taken aback at how many people he sees here in America living with animals as if they are almost a human, on the level of humans in terms of privilege and care and attention and relationship. So this is something that for him is a real cultural difference.
And don't get me wrong, it's not about the value of an animal. It's not about the potential when it comes to a relationship. It's about the physical place. That's all.
Yeah. So now I'm really curious. After watching this movie, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, you see, the professor was kind of like you. He didn't really fall for animals. He didn't really want that kind of relationship, and he certainly didn't want it in his house.
Well, at first, obviously he was pushed. There was no way.
He was stuck with it.
And the reason why he accepted to help the penguin in the first place was a very selfish motive, right?
Yeah.
Very, very selfish. But then it's interesting, trying to answer your question. It's not clear to me. I don't know. Was it clear for you? Why did the penguin die? I don't know. It's not explicit. I mean,
yes, I think so. And
Mitchell comes.
Mitchell is digging the grave, and then one of his students comes and tells him that last bit when he's digging the grave, and the student comes and tells him, penguins have one partner in life, and when that partner dies or gets lost, the surviving one dies of a broken heart. And so he said he would have died anyway, because remember, he was rescued from that whole oil field, so he most likely lost his partner.
So why didn't he die?
He most likely lost his partner, and so he was mourning his partner and died of a broken heart, most probably. And the boy was saying, but he had a lovely experience here, and he meant so much to us too.
So why did he die then? Because that's my question. Then he died of a broken heart. I understand, but somehow, at least in the movie, it seems like he died after his mission was accomplished.
Well, yes.
He drilled the changes in each heart into the bad boys in the school heart, into the headmaster, into Mitchell's heart. Everybody was
played a part in the return of Sophia.
Yes.
So
yes.
In other words, he did all his good deeds,
and then he was gone,
and his mission was accomplished.
Yes.
That is how it was told in the movie.
Yeah.
And that may be how it worked out in real life. But then you have to ask the question, well, if he'd kept living, would he have continued to make such an impact on people? Well, his world, basically, he influenced everyone in his world there. But he hadn't been eating.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was.
Well, he started eating. They
got him to eat, but then his appetite faded again. So again, it's not clear, it's not specific, but the idea that I got was that this was kind of predictable if you know about penguins, and that maybe this change in environment kind of helped to revive him for a bit, gave him something. But still, the impact of losing his life partner.
That's interesting because at first the environment that he was in was hostile. Mitchell didn't like him, and the penguin felt it was bad. It was bad. The first
and
change,
he wasn't eating. Remember,
and
he wasn't eating.
And the first change was when Sophia and her grandmother came in.
Yeah.
And they discovered, and they were all excited about the penguin, this penguin, pinguino. And
doesn't sound great, pinguino.
Pinguino. And then he started eating.
Yeah, that's it. And the boys again. So I don't know. It's not clear, but that's the impression I got, is that it was probably just the natural progression of his.
So I guess the thing that impressed me, and it was when I learned that this is a true story, was the level of relationship possible between a penguin and a human being. And I remembered about the story of that diver and the octopus.
Yeah, I haven't read that story or seen the movie or anything, but I've heard about it.
And then the story of the guy with the wild horse.
Oh yes, I told you about that. Monty Roberts and his work with horses and horse training, and he has a very unique approach. Well, it's become it's become more popular and
Maybe
more
you should
variants.
relate it briefly, because it's an impressive story
Right.
again.
So Monty Roberts is someone who he trains horses. He works with horses, and he does also all his work is to present symposiums and help people understand how to interact with and handle and treat a horse respectfully in a way that is non-hurtful, non-abusive. And he has a whole background in his own childhood, his experiences with abuse and so forth that have influenced him. But there came a point in his life where he came to believe that horses, the relationship between human and horse, could be such that you could go out into the wild, and without any restraints, without any physical interactions or forces applied to the wild animal, if you understood how to speak the horse's language and communicate with the horse through your body language, the horse would come to trust you, and the horse would come to understand what you wanted and would choose to respond to you positively. And he put it to test. It took him 3 days out in the wild, out west, to take a wild young horse, young stallion, and interact with it from a distance, never interfering with its activities with the herd, until eventually the horse chose to come to him and allowed him to climb on his back and ride him back to the ranch. And that became one of his very trusted horses. And later, well, he wrote a book about it and started presenting his techniques of working with horses based on this experience and all his theories that he'd developed along the way. And later, letters started coming to him saying, that's all fine and good, but now you keep the horse captive and the horse doesn't get to choose anymore. And so he decided to take the horse back out to the wild and set him free, which he did. And he truly hoped, and he believed there was a chance that the horse would taste its old life of freedom in the wild and still prefer Monty and the relationship that they had. It's been a long time since I read and studied all of this stuff. I don't remember if it was one day or if it was, again, a multi-day stay out there. But just about the time that
But a short while anyway.
Yeah,
it's not like months
days,
or
no,
yeah, okay.
a couple days max. Just about the time they were going to break camp and give up and decide that the horse had chosen the wild. Here comes the horse. It's after dark, and they hear footsteps outside of the place that's illuminated by the campfire. And here comes the horse walking towards them. And basically, the horse chose Monty and his relationship with Monty over his wild life. And so that's I don't know if that was ever made into a movie. I don't know. I've never looked. But it's one of those stories that circulates in the and not just stories. It's a whole way of dealing with horses that is known in the horse training, horse working community, and it just so happens that I have some interest in that. So that's how I know it.
so this movie reminded me of these other stories, and again, it brings back the fascinating world of the wild animals and their hearts and their capacity of developing a relationship, which is absolutely fantastic.
A genuine relationship built on trust, built on respect, not force or coercion. And so it is a real, true relationship and friendship, even though you don't have your spoken language to interact
it's the
with.
community, yes.
But there is a whole world of understanding body language which allows us to understand more of what animals are communicating. But even for somebody like Mitchell, who knew none of that, and he's resistant, and it's the power of a sweet animal just being itself, who somehow responds to a human being to the point that he wishes to be with that human being, to have a connection, and he manages to just eat his way into your heart little by little by little until against all your choices, your will, your ambitions, your principles, your preferences, whatever it is, against all odds, you find yourself so taken by this little creature, or big creature, because in The Friend it was a massive dog, right? But it's still the same thing.
But remember that at the beginning, Mitchell set the penguin free.
Yes.
Back.
And the penguin followed him.
And the
That's
penguin
what I'm
just
saying.
came back.
The animal chose,
Yes.
for whatever reason, in his, whether it was instinct or gratefulness or whatever, he chose to want more of this strange human being who had.
And the thing is that this is such a strong argument against the idea that the pet is devoted simply because the human being satisfying the basic needs like food, water, shelter, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, and animals are sensitive, and they can pick up on attitudes, and it's always a beautiful thing, I think, to see somebody who really doesn't want to somehow have all their hard shell broken and peeled away by a creature, a small child, something that just shatters their defenses and finds the beautiful human being in the middle of, inside, that's been kind of hidden away there.
To the point where Mitchell says, "No, I want to dig it myself."
Yeah. So
beautiful, really beautiful,
really,
sweet. We enjoyed it a lot.
A great sequel to The Friend.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Certainly one I would watch again.
With Liesl,
with a child or family watching, or even, if you have a friend who's going through a hard period, say, hey, I just got a great heartwarming movie for you. It's not sappy. It's not sentimental in that way. And that's what I love about it. It presents all of these things in a way that is, as I said, kind of gently humorous. And you feel a nice balance of the sweetness with, well, of course, it being set in that place and time with all the conflict and uncertainty that was happening politically and to the people around. So it has a nice balance, and it would make a great movie, I think, if you had someone who just was having a hard day. Let's just sit down and watch the penguin lessons.
Let us know what you think and how you felt about this movie. What thoughts came into your mind, and also if there are any other examples of these sort of relationships and events that happen.
Yes,
it's so interesting. It's so interesting. So we would love to hear back from you. We will be waiting for that, and we'll see you next time.